It's that time of week again where it's time to analyze another one of your infield videos. But this week, we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. You see, I haven't actually used one of your infield videos this time. This time, I'm using some hidden underground recorded footage that I managed to capture on a night out when I was with a very special celebrity pickup guest. The person that I managed to capture on this video, as far as I'm aware, has no infield videos of them going out and doing their own game online anywhere. I don't think anyone's ever seen footage of this guy performing his techniques in the field. And the reason I came upon this is because I was actually filming my students. I was working out in a venue, and it just so happened that the guy in question was in the venue that night. And I sat down with my wife. We were kind of like just relaxing after the night out, and I'd forgotten to turn my camera off. Sure enough, I look opposite me, and there is one of the biggest pickup artists in the world running some game on an incredibly beautiful Russian girl next to him. Now, once I realized that my camera was still on, I of course kept the camera rolling. What you're going to see are some highlighted sections from that interaction. Now, you're not going to see the entire interaction because, to be completely honest with you, it lasted about 45 minutes. But I have picked out some of the key areas so you can see this guy run some game. And one of the key things that you're going to notice in this is just how subtle yet effective this guy's game is. So the guy in question's name is Richard Gambler, the CEO of PUA Training. And as far as I'm aware, this will be his debut and the first ever piece of infield footage from Richard Gambler picking up a beautiful Russian girl. So let's play the video. There's an element of this video that I didn't manage to catch, unfortunately, because my camera was aimed at my students initially, and that was how Richard ended up sitting next to the girl. Richard was actually sitting down first when she came in with a couple of her friends, and all the girls started sitting around the room in different sections. The guy to the left of Richard is actually the one that called the girl to come over and sit down next to him. He brings the girl over, and all Richard did was shift one step to the left so that the bulk of the space for her to sit down was next to him. It was actually beautiful to watch, and something that unfortunately I didn't capture on camera, but you've got the guy next to him is calling the girl over. Richard moves up closer to the guy, so there's no real room for the girl to sit down except for next to Richard. And that sets Richard off in this beautiful position where the girl is to his right, and he doesn't have to worry about competing with any of the other guys in the room. And that's one of those subtle stealth attraction things that Richard does all the time that I'm not even 100% sure it made it onto the stealth attraction DVDs, but it's tiny little gestures like that. It's almost like a Bruce Lee technique where it's like it's the shortest route to the target. Richard will always make his life just that little bit more easily by these subtle manipulations to get somebody in the position that he wants. As you can see from that little clip that you just watched, his basic interactions are very small and very subtle, just like that technique I just explained. Things to notice is he does open with a bit of a smile just to show that he's friendly, and his body language throughout the entire interaction is rock solid. He keeps his body language, completely squared forward so the girl is next to him, and he does that throughout the entire interaction so that he doesn't convey too much interest. And you'll see as the interaction develops how he sort of like keeps up that body language and the subtle things that he does do with it throughout the interaction. So at the beginning, we're looking at he's smiling and just a little bit of a conversation just to get things started and to start developing things from there. Let's see what happens next. Sure enough, Richard's positioning of the girl next to him without anyone else for her to talk to is incredibly powerful. With his little bit of conversation showing how friendly he is, she's sort of like left with an option to sit completely alone with a couple to her right that obviously are far too interested in talking to each other, or to strike up conversation with Richard. In that position, he's free to pretty much ignore her, not give her too much attention, but yet be very friendly when she does speak to him, so eventually she has no option but out of boredom to start engaging him, which is what you just saw. She She starts talking to him about things in the room. The pressure is on her. And one of the biggest things that we teach is, of course, the importance of getting investment. If you can make somebody else work hard to get you, then you really don't have to put any effort in. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. The girl's having to strike up the conversation, having to bring Richard in. And as she does, he rewards it with more interest. She essentially learns that this conversation is going to be a lot better and a lot easier if she puts in the effort, and he will reward her with good conversation. And by setting that frame right from the beginning, it ensures that he is the prize and the girl is chasing him. You often hear these phrases like, be the prize. Well, here in this video, you're seeing that exact thing happen. He set up the position, so she's trapped in a position where she can really only talk to him, and then he doesn't really pay her that much attention, just a little bit to show that he's friendly, and then she has to reignite the conversation, which puts her on the back foot and gives a +1 for Richard. In that last clip, the key thing I want you to look at is how many times she touched her hair. You'll often have heard about indicators of interest or signs of attraction, which are essentially ways of letting you know whether someone's attracted to you. One of the biggest myths in the pickup industry or seduction community is that if a girl touches her hair or gives a hair flick, she's interested. That's not entirely true. The official sign of attraction from a psychological standpoint is actually based on whether a girl touches her hair multiple times within a period of about 30 seconds. And what's great about this clip is it captures it perfectly. She's not just moving her hair back behind her ear, she's repeatedly touching and preening her hair. And the real indicator of interest, or the real sign of attraction, comes when a girl is constantly readjusting her hair to make herself look as beautiful as possible. She's never quite comfortable with how it looks because she feels awkward, because she's attracted to somebody and she wants to make sure that she comes across in the best light. When you're having your own interactions, if somebody just touches their hair, it doesn't necessarily mean they're interested in you. But if they constantly retouch their hair and reposition it to make sure that they look their absolute best while they're talking to you, then they obviously care about what you think about their appearance, and therefore they're attracted. And what you just saw there was a real one. So it's a great opportunity to just see that happening throughout an interaction and to know what to look for. What's really funny is throughout this entire video, I don't know how much of it you're going to see, but throughout the whole 45-minute interaction, she was constantly changing her hair, moving her clothing, hitching up her bottoms, and just constantly rearranging herself. And that, from a body language point of view, is a massive sign of interest on her part. At this point, we are a good way through the interaction, and you'll see that Richard's slowly starting to give his own signs of interest and essentially escalate the situation. You'll see that the conversation is obviously getting a little bit more intimate in nature, and Richard's starting to reward that by touching her, and he's just started the touching in sort of like a bit more of an obvious way at this point, and it's instantly rewarded by her touching herself. I believe at this point they were talking about her breasts and sort of like clothing that works with it, and you can see that she's literally touching herself throughout that interaction, and so it's a really nice subtle way to start building up that physical escalation by each of them just becoming a little bit more comfortable with their bodies and having a conversation with each other about her breasts and about what fashion works. And of course, Richard's slowly building up that touch to take things up to the next level. There's two elements that I want you to take away from that last clip. The first is notice how Richard's body language is pretty much unchanged. He's still got that sort of like facing forward, comfortable, relaxed position. And notice how the girl is now having to lean forward off of her chair and turn her body in towards him to get that face-to-face contact that she's looking for. She's had to alter her position to move around so that she's more facing him to keep the interaction going. That's a massive amount of female investment you're seeing on her behalf. She's literally having to change how she sits in order to feel like she's getting more of a connection to him. Also, one of the things I love about this is how she's speaking and he's nodding. In fact, if you look back through the ratio of just the clips that I've shown, most of the time Richard really isn't speaking and the girl is putting in all that effort. Once again, that's that investment that I'm always talking about that is so important. He's got it perfect. The girl is speaking to him and putting a lot of effort in trying to impress him, and he can just sit back and relax. And realistically, that was all from that very first initial position. That subtle movement of moving across so the girl had to sit next to him set it in stone for the entire interaction and put him up on the higher rung of the ladder, so to speak. So she has to constantly engage him and keep him interested. And of course, the harder she works to gain him and keep him interested, the more she's going to feel that if she's working that hard for something, she's going to want that payoff and that reward. And that, of course, is exactly what Rich is looking for. In that last clip, you can see their body language is slowly coming together. You can see Rich is now giving her a little bit more interest, which is reinforcing the effort that she's putting in, and their bodies are slowly starting to build up that synchronicity between the two of them. You can see they're also starting to mirror each other's movements, which is another key component that lets you know that things are definitely moving forwards between the two of them. It's actually really good fun to compare this clip with the very first clip of the two of them and just see how their body language has changed so much. And also notice that it was her that started moving in first. That's exactly how the interaction should be. At this point, they're starting to get warmer, they're starting to get closer together, and those little signs of mirroring that's happening between them let you know that things really are starting to become more of a them rather than them both being independent people. And that's a key element if they're going to take this to the next level and actually start sharing each other. This was a fun element to the interaction that I had to put in there, even though it's kind of hard to see what's going on in the video. Richard's sort of like getting her to show off her shoes to us. What had happened just briefly to this is I'd sort of motioned to Richard, hey, do something from Stealth Attraction. And Rich sort of like smiled at me and he's like, okay, I'm going to touch her. And what he did was he started escalating on her by touching up her legs. And he was doing it via talking about her shoes. And it ended up with her having an entire conversation with us about her shoes, about, what shape they were and whether people can walk in them, whether they're comfortable or what have you. And just before when Rich sort of like has his hand down by her legs was when he was touching up the inside of her legs and building up that touch between the two of them, which is exactly what he talks about in the Stealth Attraction videos, whereby you can get away with justifying different touches that people aren't really aware of what's going on because you're justifying it by maybe talking about their shoes and pointing out something that isn't necessarily so sexual. And these subtle little things, you can always see as he looks across at me with a little hidden smile, he's just sort of like playing around for us. These subtle things are all a key part of Richard's game. It's really funny to watch someone who, if you just look at the entire interaction very quickly, it kind of just looks like he's sitting there and slowly but surely this girl's getting more and more attracted to him. And yet there are all these small, subtle things that he's doing to slowly trigger that attraction and get her to start chasing him. He hasn't had to put anything out there himself. He hasn't had to make it clear that he's attracted to her or be overly sexual towards her. They're just small, subtle things that slowly get her to be drawn towards him, that make it so much easier for him to just accept her advances on him almost, which is a beautiful way of seduction. You always know when seduction's done correctly, when you're not seducing the other person, but you're getting the other person to seduce you. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. She's having to give more and more effort, more and more interest to Richard, allowing him to choose whether he wants to accept it or not. And then at that point in the interaction, about 45 minutes or so after meeting her, he looks at her and he says, do you want to make a move somewhere else? And sure enough, she accepts and he gets up and he walks out. Notice that as he leaves, he doesn't even bother holding her hand and dragging her out, doesn't really care to look back to see if she's following. He just stands up and leads. This is one of the things I was talking about in the other videos. He's not forcing her to do anything. He's literally leading. He stands up and he walks out and she just goes to follow him. And at that point, he takes her straight out of the bar. He walks her back to his hotel, as he says it's probably the best place to sit down and go somewhere quiet where they can talk. And he takes it from there. How do I know this? Because when I went home at about 4 o'clock in the morning with another instructor from another company, sure enough, we see the girl leaving the hotel with Richard as they say goodbye after she spent a good few hours with Richard up in his hotel room. That's the key element, the most important thing when it comes to game, and watching somebody do it so well, someone who's such an expert in doing it. It doesn't look like he's doing anything magical. It doesn't look like anything impressive is being done. There's not these over-the-top crazy techniques. There's no fancy, flashy footwork or anything like that. It's very simple, very subtle, and very powerful. Arguably, the most powerful thing he did throughout that entire interaction was making sure that she sat in a position where realistically she could only talk to him. That way it cut out almost every single other person in the room. That's one of those techniques that I often talk about with the metagame, where you outgame everybody else in the venue before the game even starts, just by setting it up to give yourself all of those benefits. The subtle body gestures throughout the entire interaction, so that he's kind of giving her the cold shoulder, making it so she has to invest in him and keep talking to him. But every time she does, he's friendly, he's responsive, and he allows her to do that. And the interaction between them slowly becomes closer and closer until you can physically see the rapport that the two of them have built. And then he subtly says, hey, let's move this elsewhere. He gets up, she agrees, and she starts following him, and he takes her back to his hotel room. It's beautifully executed and a real pleasure to watch. I'm just thankful I had my video camera on at the time, because this is a guy that, it's very difficult to get infield footage of him because he likes to keep his private life and likes to go about doing his own things. I spoke to him and he gave me permission to use this video just to show you guys what a good idea it is to break down your infield interactions and show you how it happens. So, I hope you've learned a lot from that. I hope you've watched it and, pick up some of the subtleties that maybe I didn't even mention that you can see in his game, because Richard really is all about being subtle and using stealth attraction to generate attraction with people. If you'd like to have one of your videos broken down and allow me to analyze the things that you did right or maybe some of the things you did wrong and see where we can help about improving it, then all you have to do is email into help@attractionexplained.com with your video, and I'll happily add that to the YouTube channel, break it down, and see what we can do about helping you out. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a great way to get some solid feedback and help you improve your game. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. It really means a lot to us if you can click subscribe or share this video all over the internet with your friends, with other people on forums, anyone you think that might be interested in learning how some of these techniques work, learning to see if maybe their game could get improved, or even if they just want to see Richard Gambler, the CEO of PUA Training, in the field playing some game. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. See you next time.